Howdy everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube, or welcome back if this is your 11th Walker Independence episode review. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, after last episode, I wasn't really feeling so confident about this episode. I knew we were going on a break. I had some time to stew on it, and I completely forgot what the heck I was angry about. And then as soon as the episode began, and I was like, oh yeah, I completely remember why I'm very mixed again about the show. And again, like for me personally, I wasn't, if you guys remember from the last episode review, which I know was a few weeks ago, I was not thrilled or happy with the decision to hook up Abby and Tom. I wasn't happy because it felt very off character. It felt a little rushed. And it kind of was a very weird sudden turn. They didn't really have much of a great build-up. And now going into this episode where I was like, how do you follow that up? Well, and also the fact you have 3 episodes left to go with your season / maybe show. So it's like, how are you going to really land the ship with so much to do? And this week's episode, it didn't really do, it was mostly progressive on a side plot, which is again connected to the main plot. But again, when you have like 3 episodes again, and again, it's not the show's fault for only having 13 episodes to tell your story. And again, I know people are going to say like, oh, 13 episodes is plenty of time to tell a story. It is. But the way they've been pacing things, it's like, it's been questionable. And like, I feel like if this was the old CW, if they had a traditional 22 episode order, I feel like this would have been something like a little bit more middle of the road-ish. So with this week's episode, it was an entertaining episode to say the least. It definitely was not what I was going to, but I believe the ending could have salvaged at least my opinion of the show going into the final 2 episodes of the season / potentially show. We still don't have word if Independence will be renewed for season 2. We don't even know anything about the other shows, period, on the CW besides All American. So I really don't know what is next. I really don't know. But I really hope they do find a way to like end the ship off with this prequel so that when we do, if this show does end up getting canceled or ending, at this point it's canceled, that they at least have they did a story that was worthy of its standalone nature. But with that being said, I'm going to go for the Butcher recap to talk about this week's episode of Walker Independence. So we pick up right where the last episode left off. Yeah, Abby just had sex with Tom. And we're getting like an actual, like a little bit of an extended version of their scene of them finally, well not finally, just them having sex. Abby just kind of like in the mixed bag about it because like again, she's surprised that she did it. It's not like she's 100% happy with it, in my opinion, but she is satisfied with the experience. That makes sense. But she tries to carry on as usual, trying to like just resume being Abby Walker. Again, remember everyone's still very much anti-Abby at this point, considering the fact, she said, oh, it could be Tom's brother who's the murderer, not Tom himself, after spending weeks of saying it was Tom. And now you also got the added fact that Kate knows that she slept with him, which, especially for Kate's opinion, she does not think highly of Abby right now. So Abby's trying to do her best to figure out what is next. Caliban and the deputy return back to town, resuming their mission of like they have to find a way to like at least stop the railroad from being built across the their tribe's land so that they can avoid a war, considering the fact the current chief wants to go to war with them should they come over, which is definitely not it's definitely not going to go in their favor. So Caliban's trying to plead and figure out a way for Tom to try and get in there and maybe delay things or trying to do something to prevent a war. But, you know, even the deputy's like, I highly doubt Tom's going to do shit. There's so much money invested with his family right now into this railroad system that they don't think it's going to happen. They really don't. Which, honestly, I'm not surprised. But since the fact Abby just hooked up with Tom, she's like, you know what? Well, she doesn't say flat out she had sex with him, but like, she's probably, yeah, I'm pretty sure I could probably get a good word over him, maybe to like sway him otherwise. Hopefully speaking. Meanwhile, again, we're into day 1 of, I forgot his, Hoyt running the bar. Luisa's back on her farm, so Hoyt is in charge of the brand new bar owned by Luisa's family. Already Caliban goes in to kind of fill him in on the situation. Obviously, you know, Hoyt wants to help out, see if like they could do anything possible to try and stop this from happening. And then some youngling comes in, tries to rob them both. But Hoyt, knowing that, hey, he's a novice, this is his first time trying to rob someone, he easily disarms him and gives him a couple of hints on like what to do in order to build this character. And Caliban's like, no, do not listen to this man whatsoever. This man is a bad mentor, a bad role model. Do not listen to him. Go back, stay in school, kid. But you know, Hoyt's message already gets through, sadly. Meanwhile, Abby returns back to Tom's office. He's, you know, just about to begin his work to go find his brother, which again, it means another round of torture. However, to say the least on that, you know, Abby tries to plead with him about the railroad deal, and he's like, no, it's fine. We can't really do it. Well, no, she doesn't mention that yet. He does mention that they're the two officials that's going to officiate and officially certify this railroad section through independence is important, and also the fact that yeah, so like this is gonna happen. The meeting's happening tomorrow, and Tom's gonna officiate it. Which Abby's like, you know what? Don't worry, I'll take care of the greeting. You go focus on trying to find the guy. Don't worry about that. Even Tom gets a little bit of like a concerning voice when one of the citizens, one of the shopkeepers, comes to them and says, yeah, some guy broke into my shop last night, only took cotton swab and needles. And obviously this is kind of concerning the fact, oh, that is very useful for first aid. And who else was being tortured nearby to the town? So anywho, Tom's like telling her, okay, I'll go take care of it. But also he's not concerned that, you know, something is amiss right now with his brother. So he splits up to go do that, while Abby decides to use this opportunity for Tom being away to try and maybe figure out some sort of con to pull on the two railroad officials so that maybe they can find a way out of this. Yeah, so she's starting to think like, well, maybe what if instead of going to a land that's adjacent to Independence, that's going to run through the tribal land, maybe they go to a different part of the land that will not affect anyone. So she buys a section of land which she has legal rights to that she can use to kind of sell off to the railroad system. Like, this will be the official pathway for the railroad, which is a bit risky because of the fact that, like, okay, you can't convince these two people that already know this is going to happen that you're going to change your path. So she's like, okay, so she recruits everyone on Team Independence, you know, getting the gang back together, trying to do a mission. Even Hoyt's like, all right, let's celebrate, you know, shots on me. And, you know, they decide to pull off a reversal trick where they call it the windmill, but I know there's like a modern terminology. I'm just forgetting it. Where basically they're going to con the other by separating two into two separate parties, with the other individual being acted by someone else in their group. And they're going to eventually just have them sign the contracts with separate, you know, no entity. So one knows about where the railroad's supposed to be, and the other one just is approving the railroad in general. So one knows the location, the other one doesn't. So they're going to switch them up and then just combine them at the end of the day to make it official with their signatures. So Kate is going to play one of the people, and then Hoyt's going to play the other person while they split them up when they roll into town. Again, I really don't know how this is going to get pulled off, especially back then. I'm like, you know what? It's entertaining to say the least. Tom returns back to his farmhouse to find his brother gone. He's disappeared. He's not being hoisted up on the... well, obviously we knew that from the last episode, but now he's trying to figure out where would he go. So he heads up to the local brothel. One of the girls confirms that yes, he was there last night, but he wasn't here. He wasn't here for fun times or anything. He was just here to get a hand to sew him up. And he tells her, they're like, yeah, I'm going to go out to my brother's cabin, like, you know, go pay him a visit, give him a nice surprise. So Tom heads over there. He goes to his cabin. He doesn't find anyone per se at the moment, but he does find a pig in the middle of his living room. But however, his brother comes back behind him and knocks him out. Easy as day. I mean, like, Tom, do not hear footsteps. You're supposed to be the sheriff, goddamn you. So the con's in place. So once the two officialmen come to town, they immediately split them off. Hoyt taking the first one, and then Kate taking the second one once Abby shows them to the hotel itself to kind of, like, you know, begin their proceedings to try and, like, you know, sway the two into, like, just like casually just like hating the town, just like getting it over with the contract, not even bother reading it, like, okay, there, done, let me get out of here. So somehow it does work, you know, between Hoyt's actions of, like, causing fights all over the place to get a bad opinion of the town to one person, and then the other person just not having, like, a pleasant experience at all in town whatsoever. Eventually, they do manage to work it. There were a couple of hiccups there and there that would have definitely derailed the whole plan whatsoever. But eventually, it does work. between everyone's cooperation, they somehow managed to get this all done, which I'm like surprised to say the least. Like there were plenty of opportunities where like this could have easily gone south at any point. And I know the pun I just made, but still, it's still like I really don't know how they really pulled it off. To be honest with you, even by the end of like they're gonna cross over at some point. They're really gonna figure it out. And again, I know this is the age before social media, before electronics. So like unless you met the official before, it's not really gonna like be a real like problem, but like still like anything could have gone wrong. The only thing that really gone wrong was at the end, like the kid that Hoyt basically taught a couple lessons to shows up and robs Hoyt and one of the other railroad officials, and he was like, good kid, you actually learned from the master. Which I'm like, Hoyt, you are not the master. Shit, you barely get lucky sometimes. So yeah, it pulls up. Abby makes it official. She sends it off, and like, yeah, it's all official. They're all set in stone. So they managed to save Caliban's land for now. Caliban is given extra time, but we know that eventually this is gonna fall into place once the Daversons and once everyone else finds out about what they've done. It's gonna eventually fall apart. But this does give Caliban time to find another solution that doesn't end in war. So hopefully this will be eventually figured out pretty soon. So he heads off back to his tribe to go figure that out. While everyone else is kind of like, splitting up as their own thing. Hoyt's going back to tend to his bar. Abby and Kate decide to have a long overdue talk about just everything. And, Abby cannot excuse herself for what she did with Tom. It definitely was a moment of weakness. And she definitely feels like Tom is not a bad person anymore. That he was just kind of the way he is, but he does have a soft side, and that's the person that Abby was attracted to and then eventually had sex with, and that she can't forgive herself and she cannot say more sorry to Kate, but the only thing she can do is like just proclaim that like your friendship right now is the only thing that really is keeping me going here, and that I need to survive this current chapter in my life, that like I don't know what I would do without you. And it's actually pretty sweet, the fact that like I don't even think they've really spent more than like a month together, but I'm like, yeah, the fact that like, she's so honest and open with Kate is like, yeah, I can feel for her. Like, yeah, Kate's like her only real friend right now. And yeah, there's Hoyt, there's the deputy, there's Caliban. I get that, but like sisterhood or something like that, if that makes sense. So they forgive each other. They make up, and like they'll keep going forward to whatever is next for them to like avenge Liam's death, and whatever sorts. Meanwhile, speaking of Liam's death, Tom is being held hostage this time by his brother, who's about to give him a taste of his own medicine. We got to know a little bit more about these brothers. That Tom's younger brother was a little bit more off the rails growing up. He actually committed a murder, but Tom took the blame for it because he did not surmise that his brother would survive the experience. So he did what he had to do. Which was thankful, but now he's not really happy. So he decides to start torturing Tom in very similar ways to what Tom was doing to his brother earlier a couple weeks ago. I want to say after that point, I completely forgot what happened exactly after that. I know there was a scene where the deputy is like now tired of like Tom and everything. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to go up to the Daverson ranch myself and talk to them directly and see what the heck are they planning? What the heck is going to happen? And what do we really do? So it sounds like a plan. So he heads up for that bandwagon. So Abby decides to head off to Tom's cabin because they already agreed that they're gonna like continue their little schmoodling privately in his cabin tonight. But when she arrives there, she doesn't find him anywhere. The pig's already gone. Also, she looks around and she finds the journal she found in the first couple episodes, where it was just a bunch of flower drawings and everything. So she thinks, okay, Tom's not a bad guy. Like, it may look very similar to Liam's notebook, but it's not. It's it's definitely now proven wrong. But, however, she finds the same book again, thinking that, oh, it's just the flower book again. But she looks inside. It's actually Liam's book. So technically, this whole time, now it's back in play that Tom may have still been the one that killed Liam. And it's like, you freaking idiot. You possibly slept with the man who murdered your husband. This is exactly why you're not... You're still guilty before proven innocent, and you broke that rule, and now you're haunted by it, Abby. It's too late on that. It's too late. But before we get to the last scene, the proper last scene in the episode, Kate meets up again with Kai because they had a brief confusion when Kai was not along with the plan because he never was part of Team Independence, so he didn't know about the plan whatsoever. He was so confused of what was going on. So Kate decides, you know what? I'm going to fill you in, no more secrets between us, because after the Tong incident last week and then this incident last week, it's best to start fresh, have an open, clean slate between both of us. So Kate tells him that, yeah, so what we did was we did this whole con so that we can, like, buy Caliban's people some time before they would come to them. But he was like, no, you ruined the plan, because the whole plan was originally that entire section that you saved was supposed to be connected to Independence. That was the railroad, so that was the deal Kai made with the Tong so that they would be fine. Now you screwed us over, because, like, now Independence is going to benefit nothing from the new railroad track you just made. So you really screwed us over. Which, again, I understand Kai is thinking of himself, but, like, it's that sucky thing where, like, there's two problems out here, and, like, yeah, it's difficult. At the moment, they were thinking of Caliban, but they weren't thinking of Kai in the moment, because, like, they thought they solved their problem. But they're like, yeah, they knew about that, but they knew, like, okay, we got to solve Caliban right now, because this can lead to war. The Tongs may not be so much. So Kai's not happy with this. He's not happy with this decision whatsoever, and he's just, like, not pleased with what they just did to them. He just basically said, like, you screwed us all over, like, just to save a few people, you screwed the entire town, which, again, is semantics. I do understand Kai's point, but yeah, I understand the larger picture of play, but it is what it is, sadly, about that. So then we cut over to the final scene where the deputy is passing through the farmhouse. He hears the Tom screams. He heads inside. He sees Tom being tortured. And for a brief moment, he was considering then, maybe I should let this be. Maybe I should let this be. But he says, decides, no, something goes wrong. He's going to be proven guilty. So he throws out his firearm, debating if he should shoot the brother. Tom's ordering him to shoot his brother. The brother eventually grabs the gun, but Tom also leaps forward to, like, get out of it. We hear 3 gunshots fire up, but we have no idea who got shot, because that was the end of this week's episode of Walker Independence. So, for me, I feel like they managed to save the ship at the last minute, once again, reintroducing things with Tom being the potential killer as well. I'm still not pleased with the whole sex thing. I really am not. That came out of left field, really was not earned whatsoever. But regardless, to say the least, I feel like the con episode was very fun. It was very, it was like probably a nice change of pace, a little levity before we get into, like, the final episodes for the season, which I think was appreciated. But now going into this, it's like, okay, how are they going to land the ship? Like, the previews for next week seems to be a prequel heavy episode. So I'm like, how are you going to land the ship properly? And with the expectation of, like, you may not get a season 2. You might just keep this open-ended. We really don't know 100%, to be honest with you. But regardless, to say the least, there is still a lot of open question marks up in the air that I really don't know how they're going to land the ship. I really don't know. I really hope they don't Tom Swift it and try to expect there to be a season 2 just because they got the Walker name attached to it. I really don't, because it will just be, it will just hurt, like, they were expecting, but they don't get it. But regardless of what may happen, everything in this episode was great. The ending was perfect, and I'm more happy to be going back uphill with the show again, because last week I was definitely going down. I really was, like, I was not feeling that whatsoever. But hopefully, as we reach the last 2 episodes, we will get some sort of, like, proper conclusion. But we'll see what happens then. But for now, I'm gonna give this episode 2 thumbs up. I enjoyed it a lot. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think of this week's episode of Walker Independence? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let's have a conversation down below, as always. But I believe that's gonna do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the hopeful first season of Walker Independence. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the Two, besides our Walker Independence episode reviews, we are currently doing Walker episode reviews, Rookie episode reviews, and Rookie Feds episode reviews each and every week after brand new episodes on their respective networks. But if you only care about Walker Independence, you're in luck. So we're doing a straight run until the end of the season. So next week's episode 12, the week after that is the season finale, and then the week after that we will most likely do a season 2 predictions video, depending on if any announcements happen. If, like, oh, Walker Independence is over, then we won't do that. But if we're still up in the air by the time we get to the finale, we will still produce a season 2 predictions video just in case. And then after that, you will get a season 1 spoiler-free review after that to wrap up that coverage. But we shall see what happens. There's still a lot of balls in the air. There's still a lot of things to do. There's a lot of stuff happening in the month of March, which I'll talk about eventually, so stay tuned about that. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to us on youtube.com/ActionX videos. Ring the bell for notification when our next video is live. Like, favorite, share if you want to, as well as follow social media. But until we see each other again, for all you members of the town of Independence, I'll see y'all next week. But until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.